Before we begin, if you're home alone tonight, make sure your doors are locked, because the stories you're about to hear are supposedly true, and they all happen to babysitters who thought they were completely safe. What started as an ordinary night quickly turned into something they would never forget. Tonight, I'll be sharing 3 scary, true babysitting horror stories. So turn down the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. This happened when I was 19 and babysitting for a family that lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood. I had watched their kids several times before. The house was nice. 2 stories, white siding, a fenced backyard. Nothing unusual. The parents had 2 children, Emma, who was 7, and Noah, who was 4. I remember that night because everything felt completely normal. The parents were leaving for a dinner party about 20 minutes away. Before they left, the mom gave me the usual instructions. Kids should be asleep by 9. Help yourself to anything in the kitchen. And call us if you need anything. Nothing seemed out of place. The kids were excited because I brought a card game we usually played. After the parents left, the evening went exactly as expected. We played games. We watched half of an animated movie. I made them grilled cheese sandwiches. By around 8:30, both kids were getting tired. Honestly, it was one of the easiest babysitting jobs I'd ever had. Around 8:45, I was helping Noah brush his teeth when Emma suddenly appeared in the bathroom doorway. She looked nervous. "Can you close the kitchen blinds?" I laughed. "Why?" She shrugged. "I don't know. I just don't like when it's dark outside." Kids say things like that all the time. So I closed the blinds downstairs and didn't think much of it. At 9 o'clock, both children were in bed. I read them a short story, turned off the lights, then went downstairs. The house became very quiet. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone. Everything felt safe, normal. About 20 minutes later, I heard something. A faint metallic sound. Clink. It sounded like metal tapping against metal. I looked toward the kitchen. Nothing. The sound didn't repeat. I figured maybe it was the house settling. Older houses make strange noises. So I ignored it. 10 minutes later, it happened again. Clink. This time I stood up. The sound seemed to come from outside. I walked into the kitchen and peeked through a small opening in the blinds. The backyard was dark. The fence blocked most of the view. I didn't see anything, no movement, no people, nothing. I remember feeling slightly uneasy, but not enough to worry. I returned to the couch. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps upstairs. I assumed one of the kids was awake. When I got to the hallway, Emma was standing outside her bedroom. She looked pale. "There's somebody outside." I immediately smiled, trying to reassure her. "What do you mean?" She pointed toward her bedroom window. "I saw someone walking by." Kids imagine things, especially at night. I walked into her room, pulled back the curtain, looked outside. Nothing. The backyard was empty. "No one's there." She didn't seem convinced. I tucked her back into bed. "You're okay." She nodded, but she kept looking toward the window. I went downstairs again. Now I was paying a little more attention. Not because I believed her, just because being alone in someone else's house at night makes you notice things. Another 15 minutes passed. Then I heard it again. Clink, clink. This time it came twice. Definitely outside. Definitely from the backyard. I walked into the kitchen, moved the blinds slightly. And that's when I noticed something strange. The gate. The side gate leading into the backyard. It was open. I was almost certain it had been closed earlier. Still, I convinced myself there was an explanation. Maybe the parents forgot. Maybe the wind moved it. I checked the back door lock. Locked. Everything seemed fine. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Emma. The family had given her an old tablet that could send messages over Wi-Fi. The message simply said, "He's back." My stomach dropped. I immediately ran upstairs. Emma was sitting upright in bed, staring at the window. Who? The man? I walked over, looked outside again. At first I saw nothing. Then I noticed movement. Very slight movement near the back fence, someone crouching, watching the house. I froze. For a second, my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. A real person, not a shadow, not imagination, an actual man. He was partly hidden behind a tree, just standing there, looking toward the house. The moment I moved the curtain wider, he stepped backward, then disappeared. I shut the curtain immediately, locked the bedroom window. My heart was pounding. I called the parents. No answer. Then I called 911. The dispatcher told me officers were on the way. While I was on the phone, Noah started crying from his room. I went to check on him. He was sitting up, terrified. "Someone's downstairs." The words hit me like ice water. I almost corrected him, almost told him he was dreaming. Then I heard it. A sound from below. A soft creak. The kind of creak a floorboard makes when someone puts weight on it. The house suddenly felt very different. I quietly closed Noah's door, locked both kids inside Emma's room, then listened. Another creak. Downstairs, near the kitchen. I realized something horrifying. The man I saw outside might not be outside anymore. The dispatcher was still on the line. I whispered what was happening. She told me officers were close. I grabbed a heavy lamp from the hallway. Not because I thought I could fight anyone, just because holding something felt better than holding nothing. The next sound came from the staircase. One step, then another. Slowly. Someone was coming upstairs. I backed away from the hallway. Every instinct was screaming at me to run, but the kids were behind me. Then I saw it. A hand, appearing briefly around the stairwell corner. Someone was absolutely inside the house. I slammed the upstairs hallway door shut and locked it. Immediately, the person started pushing against it. Not hard, not trying to break it, almost testing it, seeing if it was secured. Then the sound stopped. Silence, a complete silence. The longest silence of my life. Seconds felt like minutes. I couldn't hear footsteps. I couldn't hear breathing. Nothing. Just silence. Then, red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Police. The moment the sirens approached, I heard footsteps racing downstairs. Fast. Desperate. The person was running, trying to escape. Officers entered through the front door. They searched the entire property, every room, every closet, every corner. They eventually found signs that someone had entered through a basement window. The man was gone. But officers discovered fresh footprints in the basement and backyard. Whoever it was had been inside. They believed he had entered while I was putting the kids to bed, meaning while I thought everything was normal, he may have already been in the house. The thing that still bothers me happened afterward. A detective asked Emma about the man she'd seen. She described him perfectly. Dark hoodie, baseball cap, tall, exactly what officers believed the suspect was wearing. Then she said something that made everyone in the room go quiet. "I saw him before bedtime, too." The detective asked where. Emma pointed downstairs. In the kitchen window. The room became silent, meaning while we were eating dinner, while we were laughing, while we were playing games, he may have already been watching us, just standing outside, looking in, waiting. I've babysat many times since then, but I still close every blind before dark. I still double check every lock. And every time a child says they saw someone outside, I listen. Because that night taught me something. Sometimes kids aren't imagining things. Sometimes they notice the danger before anyone else.